to Crimson Guitars. Welcome to Luthiers Question Time Live, episode number 115 for the 6th of April 2023. This is the guitar building podcast where I answer your questions about guitar building and all of that sort of stuff. There is chaos, there is nonsense, there is all sorts of stuff happening. You guys need to take it off the thing. There we go. I have got, well, I don't know. This is a lunchtime live stream. I don't know how many people are going to show up, if this is a good time or not. It's a bit of an experiment. The standard one that we do on Mondays did not happen because I was on a road trip, a very, very cool road trip. Had pretty much the best time professionally that I've had in many, many, many years. So yeah, that was good, and you'll start seeing the results of that soon. But as it is, here we are. Probably going to be relatively short, half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that, but it depends on you guys. As ever, if you send through a super chat, that will guarantee an answer because I will definitely see that in the viewer activity thing here. If not, I do try and go through the basic, the normal chat as well. It just doesn't pop up in quite the same way, and of course super chats help support the show and the channel and everything else that's going on here, so I do appreciate that. Now, in the background, this is a bit of a teaser. We've got Josh currently doing his first ever copper leafing, which is great fun. Sophia is binding the blue thin line teddy that she's making. She's scraping the binding down, and that's going to be on the finish very soon. Joe is taking photographs of a Squire Starcaster, I think it is, for Daily Guitar Draw. And on top of that, my soon-to-be 13-year-old son is filming a behind-the-scenes day in the life at Crimson video because he needs to earn some money to pay me back for everything that I've sacrificed for him so far. Son, there is a story of a guy in the sort of 1890s or so that when his son turned 21, I think it was, he handed him an itemized bill for everything that he had, literally itemized bill. You owe me X for everything that I've paid out for your entire life up to this point, and I'm going to be nice and only charge you 5% interest. Okay, genuinely happened. The kid paid the debt and then never spoke to his father ever again. Bye-bye. So I'm not going to do that to you because I kind of like you awesome. Thank you, Daddy. Speaking of which, would you mind filling up my water bottle for me? And yeah, there we go. So here we are. Now, in the chat we have got Creverai, the Ginger Drum Tech. Oh shoot, Creverai, I didn't let you know that we weren't doing one on Monday. But Paul Cook let you know. Matt Toman, Dave Lewis, Sweet Tea Guitars. Hey Sweet Tea, how are you? Wolford, Bubbly Juice. There are some names I don't actually know. Andy Take Two, Hicks Custom Guitars. Good morning, everybody. So basically, the question to you guys is this a good time? Is it not a good time? I don't know. Let me know. I'm planning on doing 2 Daily Guitar Draw live streams, one on Tuesday at 4 p.m. UK time and one on Friday at 4 p.m. UK time. Road trips notwithstanding. And then the standard Monday live stream and maybe one other Q&A throughout the week, and we're going to experiment and see what happens. But the only problem I've got here is Paul Cook says special price for any Americans who make it. It's between 4 and 7 a.m. for them, and Sweet Tea is Americans, so this is the thing. I set this for basically a UK lunchtime-ish kind of a thing, or for people who want to avoid work, really. But potentially we'll end up doing a first thing in the morning one on Fridays, but we shall see. In other news, he says continuing to prattle on non-stop. I've just literally 1 minute ago finished routing the neck pocket for the Cowrie guitar, so that video is going to be going out this weekend, I hope, if I can get the footage to the editors on time, which is not currently happening. Joe, would you mind just checking and seeing if Austin's camera here, this one on the tripod, is recording. We don't need him to record the entire process of the live stream because we're recording that on there. Excuse me. I also have a little bit of a cold. Just turn it off if it's on. So yeah, Chaos and Carnage. The one problem is I don't have any questions, people. So hit me up with questions. Sweetie says this is much better for me than the midday ones. Of course, I mean midday in the US. So this is first thing in the morning for you. Okay, that's really interesting, Sweet Tea. Dave Lewis is great time for this because I always miss the evening slot. Callie Jamie says great time for me. I can work and listen at the same time. Well, there we go. Maybe we can do this a thing. Johan van Loopy says tell us about Biff's guitar. Let's do that. Joe, would you mind finding for me the HDMI cable that was here that I then used on Josh's workbench so I can share my screen? But also we need to talk about this incredible Les Paul that isn't currently selling very many tickets. Josh, did you move that that cable? Where did that end up?
I don't think so.
There we go. Okay, I've pulled it up here. Anyway, basically, Saxon is an incredible sort of... Well, it's an HDMI cable and it's got a specific USB thing on the end. It was on Josh's bench last night. Okay, that'll be the one. Yeah, Saxon. Oh, incredibly cool. And we have one of his guitars. He played this for a while. We've got signed photographs of him with it. And it's just one of those things that it just pitched up. Also, you don't need to film the whole live stream, just the other stuff that's going on around it. So that's all good. You can chill out and do what you want to do right now. If that's good. Let me get this sorted, sorry. Cool. Cool, cool. While I'm doing this, you guys pull some questions up. Oh, Matt, come show me. You are on a live stream, by the way.
All right. Just doing a test, that's all. So this is the black, our matte black flash coat.
Yep,
then
fantastic.
The flip flop, and then the matte black clear coat over the top.
The matte black clear coat.
Matte clear coat, not black. You know what I meant.
I did. Just double checking.
Obviously, I haven't done this half. But
This, let's show the show the fantastic people while I glug on this. So we have got a Gibson Les Paul Tribute that had a matte finish and was just a bit manky. It's a 2010. It's relatively old at this point, yeah, we're gonna have an open grain flip flop finish. It's not flipping very much, is it?
It's not flipping. It flips. It's just kind of, when you get
subtle.
it to that flip, it kind of goes to the matte finish.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of looking straight on.
Okay.
For it
So
to
the question is,
show up.
if you run a test with the Saturn, yeah, run a test with the Saturn and then potentially with the high gloss.
Yeah.
We don't want the high gloss flash
That's the
coat.
thing,
It just looks a bit tacky, doesn't it?
Well, the high gloss flash coat, yeah.
Do you know what? I like this. I don't care whether it flips or not. It's a cool colour.
I like it as
cool
well.
thing.
I think, I mean, I literally just put the black on and then put the flip flop on and then clear coated it. But I feel like, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
But I think if I maybe knocked back the black a bit before I put the flip flop on,
We'd have a little bit less texture.
there'd be a less texture.
Yeah, make it happen. I think that's cool. Okay, well, here we go. Get back to the live stream. Saxon's Peter Biff Biffords, 2007 USA Gibson Les Paul Classic Ebony with signed photograph. This was his guitar. He played it quite a lot. It has been beaten about and played, and is, well, it's a bit of rock and roll history, literally. I think the name here was his tech, although I haven't actually had the time to look into that. And the reality is, it is currently incredibly low odds, only 965, well, sorry, only 45 tickets sold. So yeah, very low odds. and it could be yours. Now this is one of those guitars. These things just pitch up. They're offered to us, and while it is something I would like for the museum as well, we're currently not really buying guitars for the museum, because the next stage is actually building the physical structure where it's going to be, and we've got the space upstairs that's soon to be emptied, and it is going to take a lot of walls and a lot of dressing. There's a horrible Artex ceiling that needs to be covered in some way, and those of you who are adults or pretending to be adults at this point will understand just how much that's going to all cost. But anyway, while we're here, let's have a quick look. There's a Rev Star that's just come up, a very cool early Korean-made Squier Strat, genuinely an awesome guitar, and also, yeah, not much movement on that. Squier, Ibanez Artcore, a Jet. Now these budget instruments here, we're not going to be seeing very many. Actually, the Rev Stars, I love the Rev Stars. Squiers and Jets and things like that. The budget Ibanez's, we're going to be moving away from them moving forward. The one thing I would like to definitely point out though quickly while we're talking about it is this is my personal Custom 24. It's a 1997, relatively early, and I just don't get on with the 24 frets and the thin neck. I've gone on to chunky necks now, but after fees, 100% of this guitar is going to help him build a museum. So yeah, please go and buy tickets. And there we go, appeal over. Now, back to the live stream proper. Let's see. Questions. 11 p.m. for course B. Adair Guitars. Hey, dude. The man, the machine, the one and only. I am genuinely a large fan of what you do. You are mind-blowingly talented. Your editing is absolutely incredible. The guitars are so cool, and to the point where watching what you do kind of intimidates me. Genuinely, kudos, and it's cool that you're in the chat, so thank you very much. Adair says, good time for me here in Australia. Just started strolling on YouTube and the live stream began. There we go. Well, welcome to the stream, and if anybody else hasn't checked out Adair Guitars channel, go and watch. And if you haven't, then you're basically living under a Luthiery log, I suppose, rather than a rock at this point. Yeah? Yeah, cool, fantastic. Do you know what, guys? I feel far more awkward about the fact that there's 44 of you currently watching this than I do about the fact that there's currently 4 or 5 people in the room trying to get on with their own work while listening to me prattle on. The thing is, they're being forced to. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Matt Toman, what is the worst glue you have ever used? Ooh, clickbaity title. I used polyurethane glue and the results might surprise you. The polyurethane glue is this sort of foaming stuff, and it is a good glue. It is hard wearing, it is moisture resistant, and if you're going to be putting, I don't know, building an external whatever, it's a thing to do. If you, it's good stuff. But I ran a test once, probably 10 or so years ago, where I had a random neck, and I wondered how easy it would be to snap in half, literally just by smacking it on a workbench. What actually happened, and what I've come to realize, is that polyurethane glue, when used to glue on a fretboard, i.e. long grain to long grain, that is not very structurally sound. When you give it a good sharp knock like that, you can delaminate the entire fretboard and just pull it off. Now, we like our guitars, but we do sometimes drop them, lean them up against a table or on chairs like I can see in the background here. And if that happens and your fretboard falls off, no thank you. No thank you at all. Okay, so put that on silent, just in case. And Okay. Sweet Tea Guitars came in with a $10 super chat just to say start on the ceiling fund. Thank you very much, dude. Genuinely appreciate it, and I'm also a fan of what you're doing. The ceiling. What I'm currently kind of thinking is that if we pay somebody to come in and remove all the artexing and replaster all that jazz, that's going to cost a fair old chunk of money, and nobody really wants to spend that much time replastering a ceiling now. What I'd like to do, what do you think, Sam F in the background? What I kind of like to do is make a whole bunch of hexagonal frames over which we stretch maybe white fabric or black fabric or something like that. And I think that in the factory we could probably do that relatively quick. Use the Triton crosscut saw, ping them together with a brad gun. I mean, this is not the sort of woodworking that we normally do in this factory, but that would make a cool ceiling, but also a ceiling that we can take down and move to the museum's sort of final resting spot when we have lottery funding and all of that. It sounds quite cool.
It does.
He's smiling and nodding
in
the background.
Like TARDIS, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Is there anything wrong with looking slightly like a TARDIS?
No.
We could make them out of cubes if you want. I mean, squares or whatever.
No, I think
But,
I think it will be.
Okay. Well, there we go. That's the current thing. So we're trying to save money while also achieving a museum quality fit and finish and experience is more important. Sophia is shivering in the corner there, pretending to be cold. I just don't get it. Matt is so hot that he's in a t-shirt. I'm wearing this because it looks cool, not because I need it. in my own mind. Anyway, Ginger Drum Tech says, "Hi Ben, question on the hand tool only build videos. You have a load of small clamps when gluing the body together. I'm not sure what you call them. Have you made a video on how to make them?" Those are incredibly simple. They are called spool clamps. I haven't made a video on how to make them. It is something that we actually want to reintroduce as a product. But essentially, you've got a piece of wood. I think Sophia's going to go and grab one. Come on in, Sophia. Join in and explain how these are made, because.
How these are made?
Well, yeah. Why not?
Well, 2 circular bits of wood with a bit of cork on each side to not damage anything, and it's just a bit of threaded metal with a screw that you can adjust, of course, and then you just pop it on whatever needs to be.
Okay, so
clamped,
hold on, where we go? Camera 3, camera 2. Camera 2, there you go. So you're on that camera there,
Right.
and you can actually close up show what's going on.
Like. These ones are actually made from one of my friends made it. But I mean, what did you use it for?
Acoustic guitar building, violin making, well, not violin making, viola da gambas and stuff.
Yeah.
But essentially you've got a, that's a nut.
It is a nut?
Yeah, you've got a nut trapped in that one. If you want, you can actually set that, and this is glued in so that doesn't move. You've got a piece of silicon tubing there. It's non-stick, so the glue doesn't stick to it, and also protects the side of the instrument from the bar. I don't actually use that because I build everything from tiny things to fat things. It's just it's more trouble than it's worth. That one moves, and then you've got a locking nut that goes down and does that. It's a simple construction.
The casing on this was actually because, like, when you've got the guitar and the Solera, you've got, you can tighten up a few of them and they'll start popping off on the other side. So this is just basically to, like, make sure that it can't just fall out of the mould.
I see.
So that's,
friction as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to just mute myself so I can cough without coughing on you guys. There we go. Now, where are we? Big Unit Guitars. Sent a super chat. Thanks very much, Big Unit. Says, "Morning, Ben. Do you need the extra bump at the bottom of the neck when gluing a set neck, or can the heel just be the size of the pocket. Okay, so essentially you're talking about having a Les Paul style tenon joint where it goes in and you've got a squared off sort of rectangular section underneath the neck. Now what that does is it makes it easier to build from the vertical part of things. You're seeing, you've got square, you're not worrying about fitting a wedge-shaped thing into a wedge-shaped thing, thus needing to be absolutely precise and perfect. You can just slide it in and go like that. But obviously with Les Pauls you've got an angle, 3 degrees, that you need to cut into the sides of the neck. That's a bit more complicated. But what you've got is, I think, actually more surface area. I've never bothered to do the maths, but I think you end up with more surface area, more gluing area with a Les Paul style joint. And then having a longer tenon that goes out into the pickup cavity, that is something that people believe makes a big difference to the tone of the guitar. It might. It's one of those things. My problem is that Gibson have a habit of not really fitting these things properly. In fact, I was having a conversation with Trev Wilkinson the other day about exactly this, and he says that he doesn't believe that a set neck guitar, he does not believe that a guitar where you have just taken a standard Fender style neck pocket and glued a neck into it can be called a set neck, for one. That's a hot take. I don't necessarily agree. We do it a lot here. Matt's showing me one of ours right now. Yeah, I've forgotten where I was going. That's what he said. He doesn't believe that that's a set neck. Oh, there we go. He also has now convinced me that the way that Gibson currently make their necks, the process that they use to glue them in, the process they use to fit them, etc., is almost certainly not the process that they used in the early days. So yeah, I'm going to do some research on that and we'll make a video and see. I think that there are arguments for and against both things, but no, a standard Fender style, if you want, neck pocket and neck glued together works just as well as sort of a Les Paul style joint. What do you think, Matt?
Tighter than a Fender's neck pocket.
As long as it's tighter than a Fender's neck pocket, that's a very good point.
I had no issues.
Yeah, I agree. And we also regularly cut away quite a large portion of that neck pocket and glue things in, so the surface area is even smaller. With modern glues, you will be absolutely fine. Okay. Paul Cook says, Sophia, if you're cold, you're not working hard enough.
I think I'm ovulating, but whatever.
Oh my God.
No, it's true. It's true. I'm sat down, to be fair.
You're doing your best to sort of embarrass me in a live stream. I'm impressed. If you guys heard that, cool. If not, yeah, there we go. Dave Lewis. Dave Lewis says, Ben, I don't know when your building was built and the ceiling Artex, but you might want to get it tested for asbestos. They were still mixing it in Artex in the 80s. I think that it was after that. We have actually had the ceiling, the roof tested in the past, but that is another reason why I don't want to start messing around with it and cutting into it, etc. I'd rather just cover it with something physical and cool looking. So there we go. Adair Guitars says, thanks, Ben. Genuine pleasure. Starting 2 new builds this weekend after finishing a kit guitar with my son. That is, well, I've got my son in the background there, and he's going to be filming his first, he's going to be taking over the Crimson YouTube channel with his first ever fretwork. He's basically just started playing guitar and is now getting into it. I've never pushed them, although I kind of wish I had. But yeah, his first guitar is a sort of an 80s K rifle thing, and it's going to need some fretwork, and he's just going to do it. Thus proving to everybody out there who thinks that this is scary and difficult that basically anybody really can do fretwork if they're practically minded. And he's my son, so intensely good-looking, clever, and physically capable, of course. So basically better than most people anyway. He's looking at me with a, yeah. I'm not wrong, am I? I'm not sure if that was a good reaction or a bad reaction. We're going to see. Parenting 101. Anyway. Yeah, Ade, congrats. And, well, I'm looking forward to watching what you do. Okay, so we've answered the spool clamp question. Paul Cook saying, I think you made a batch of the spool clamps during Nebula. We did, and we actually did sell them for a while, but the process we used to make them was just not great. Okay, sorry, I'm watching everything going on around me, and it's chaos. Okay, questions, people. Adam Dutton, have you ever built a bespoke chest to house a speaker and amp? I would love to see what you would come up with. I imagine something beautiful. It's sort of surprising how simple amps look on stage. We're getting to the point these days where amps are no longer actually... We're going to the point these days where amps are, more often than not, literally just set dressing. And that kind of depresses me. Genuinely kind of depresses me. That being said, I also love my Kemper, and it's, you know, having children and being able to put my headphones in and feel like I am actually playing through a 100-watt stack of my choice is pretty damn cool on too. So to answer the question, I have considered custom enclosures for amps. It was a business idea for the company, actually. We seriously considered going into making custom enclosures for other people's amps, etc. But yeah, I find that I have more than enough going on as it stands to be getting on with, and just haven't gone down that route. Now, the fact that we've got 3 or 4 people in here all filming various videos and able to do their own thing is going to free me up to play around, but also I'm going to be building vicariously through them on the channel. So literally, Sophia is filming a blue Teddy thin line that she's making. Matt is doing a bunch of refinishing work and customizing some of our guitars. Sam is currently doing some admin. Josh is copper leafing a Crimson Descendant. All of these things are going to be videos on the channel for you guys to enjoy and hopefully learn some things from, or at least give you something to sort of point your fingers at and laugh and judge, if you so desire. Now, Paul Cook says, if you need recent Gibson factory footage, Play and Trade on YouTube did a long tour and vid series. I don't remember neck fitting, but it might be in there. The size of their faulty returns area is funny. I will check that out, but genuinely, what I'm after... Oh no, I'm filming a video there. Genuinely, what I'm after, people, and if you know of this, please send me a link, stream@crimsonguitars.com, is early footage or photographs from the 50s and 60s of how Gibson made their necks then. I'm fairly sure what they're doing now is wrong, or at least not wrong. Let's say not historically correct. Still functional as an instrument, just not the way that a luthier back then would do that particular job on this type of guitar. So yeah, there we go. Adam Dutton, yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff coming through, and I have had ideas about cool amps and amp enclosures. But also these things need to be very robust. We do tend to abuse our gear, do we not? QSB says, if string lengths are significant for guitar playability, then should every headstock be a reverse 6-a-side? Yes, technically, from the point of view of us, of physics and all of that jazz, but they're not, and as such, okay, rewind. String manufacturers manufacture strings for the design of guitar that is the preponderance on the market. Okay, basically 6-in-line or 3-a-side, and if all guitars had reverse headstocks, which I think technically would be better, then the common string gauges would be a whole different ball game. You'd have your thicker strings would be different, etc., to work with what that then feels like. So no, I think that technically a reverse headstock is probably better, but we have the strings and things that make what we expect to hear and feel happen. Now it's the same thing with those wiggly frets, for example. People have engineered absolutely perfect dead nuts on tuning in guitars, because they think, okay, fine, well, that's obviously going to be better. Let's have every single fret have perfect intonation, etc. But when you get down to it, every other instrument that those guys are playing with is now out of tune to them, basically. And as such, it actually sounds more out of tune to us than anything else, because we're used to hearing out of tune guitars slightly. In fact, an out of tune guitar is preferable in many cases, just slightly. That's what gives the music the character that we expect and want. I think it was a John Frusciante thing where he was talking about a particular song that he played, and he says everybody on the planet plays this song wrong. He down tunes his G string or his B string or something like 2 to 4 cents, something like that, every time he plays that particular song, because that makes it. Perfection is a lie. I am just pretending to be amazing. Please don't turn that into a short. Out of context. Marsha J. Levine says, good morning, my darlings. Good day, Marsha. How are you? Okay. Okay, Dave Lewis says, Ben, what are those two tools behind your right shoulder that look like plungers? Oh, yeah, they're plungers. I have horrific plumbing. These are, it's a pair of different weight and length carver's mallets. This is made out of blackwood and purple heart, both Purdue, not purple heart. Don't judge me. It's nearly lunchtime. And they were made by a company called BC Woodworks in the UK. Brian Cockerell, I think is his name. And he is intensely talented, makes really, really high-end tools. And I love his mallets. I have a small collection of them. Mallets, fine hammers of all sorts, and custom bits and pieces. So yeah, I am a fan. And so will you be if you ever get your hands on one of his tools. Hicks Custom Guitars. Ben, what would your process be for getting a high gloss finish from a true oil finish? True oil is essentially a rather toxic, high build, polyurethane based oil, I think. Don't, as it says on the tin, it says on the tin to apply this finish with your fingers. Frankly, somebody should sue them. Genuinely and literally, I know what's in that stuff. Don't put it on your skin. It is not good for you. How the hell is this stuff sold in California? They say that a Fender Strat has got cancer-causing shit on it. So yeah, obviously don't chew your Fender Strat either. So anyway, with that in mind, wearing gloves and not licking the finish, if I had to use true oil, and I choose not to, we've got our own version, I would apply it over a non-stained guitar using 1500 to 2000 to 2500 grit wet and dry paper. I would literally apply the oil with the wet and dry sandpaper. And essentially you're creating a slurry, you're filling the grain, you're also buffing or polishing out the previous coat, you're flattening things as you go and building up to a relatively high gloss finish in that way. The other thing you need to do is obviously remove all of the excess before it starts curing, because that would end up with a not high gloss thing. If you build it up high enough, you can then just use, I'm wondering about mineral oil actually potentially, but you can use just wet and dry as you would flat sand a lacquer, and you can actually after a while, once it's cured properly, even buff it on a buffing machine. The problem is you have to be so very careful not to melt it because it's got a very, very low melting point there. So personally, I would not go the buffing machine route. But there we go. That's what I would do. All right, Ray Baggett says, good morning all. Been a while. It has indeed. Thank you for coming back. And yeah, well, this time we've got about 64 people. I think if we had it scheduled a little bit longer, this might work as a time frame. Master J. Levine says, Ben, I spent at least 6 hours yesterday filing and sanding the 3 frame pieces of an old wind chime that had broken apart. Have come to the conclusion I have to make new pieces. Yeah. But sometimes the repair itself isn't actually the point of doing the work. Sometimes it's just to spend 5 or 6 hours tinkering about in the workshop, isn't it? Pretty much, yeah. Okay. Give me questions, people, or we're going to have to call this a day. Rob Packingham says, I have a lifelong friend that works for Gibson. I will ask for a general idea of how much manufacturing techniques have changed for neck fitting. I may or may not get an answer. I would be very, very interested in hearing that. Big Unit Guitar says, AC/DC's entire early catalogue was out of tune. They were somewhere between E and E flat. That's out of tune with the rest of the world, but potentially in tune with themselves, if you know what I mean. But yes, it's one of those things. Tommy's just sort of wandered through, putting his hand out. I think he's off to go and buy lunch for everybody.
Wants my money.
But he wants everybody's money first. Sam's paying for mine.
Yeah,
And Austin's, because I forgot my wallet like a total numpty. Anyway, speaking of wallets, there's going to be some Crimson co-branded wallets soon that you want, like you do. Okay. All right. Give me questions, people, or we're going to be done. I'm going to go through and see if I can find anything. Bum 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 bum. Hit the like button. That's from Sweet Tea. I am going to be continuing on with the hand tool build soon. Dave Lewis, Ben, was there any reason you didn't finish the prehistoric fretboard with more coats of super glue? I am going to be spraying, excuse me, I am going to be spraying a high gloss lacquer over the super glue in any case. So, and I want that to be homogeneous across the entire guitar. So essentially, we're applying super glue across the whole carry build, and then applying the lacquer. And that will just seal the whole thing, and we'll have a homogeneous, similar look across the board. Okay, Bubbly Juice says, can anything be done to improve the sound of a Fender Strat acoustic, small fiberglass body? A handy little thing to have, but needs a little improvement. Thanks for what you do. It's an absolute pleasure. No, you can burn it in a fire and then cast the resultant ash into a monument to the folly of trying to build hollow plastic guitars. I didn't know where I was going with that one. I actually quite like hollow plastic guitars, so you know, don't quote me out of context. Italias and the Hagstrom Futurama 2s, 3s, etc. Airlines, Supros, all of those things. In fact, literally within the last 24 hours, I have said, hey, we need to get a vacuum forming machine so we can play with making exactly that sort of thing. However, they have a sound of their own. And if you don't like that sound, yeah, I don't know. There ain't nothing for it. Interestingly, I suppose carbon fiber acoustic guitars would also fall into the same camp that I just so broadly insulted without purpose or reason or provocation. And modern carbon fiber acoustics are starting to sound really nice. So there we go. Okay. Hello, Ape Song, how you doing? Dave Lewis says, Ben, is there going to be a Crimson guitar stand? There very, very much is. Both wall-mounted and floor-mounted. It's something that we made in the past, and I'm revisiting a lot of projects from the past now that we actually care about being efficient and not making a loss on certain things. But yes, that will be happening. That will be happening. Okay. Paul Cook says, Crimson branded wallet, not to be taken outside home. Oh, you're thinking that I will, because it's a Crimson branded wallet, then somehow I'm going to be convincing you to spend more money with on Luthiers products. That is implied. Ray Baggett, GGBO starts soon. GGBO is being done properly for the first time ever. No, GWBO will be starting soon. We are from the ground up completely rebuilding everything. The website, the back end, the way the whole thing is run from an admin point of view. Last year worked, but it was still huge amounts of work and thus very expensive, and thus didn't actually raise as much for good causes, etc., as we wanted, not by a long shot. But the website is almost ready, like imminent. There are right now 3 people working on that website, and have been for quite some time. So it's coming together, and it's going to be good. FFF says Van Halen played much the same way. A lot of songs between E and E flat. I absolutely agree. Somebody said the old forgot my wallet trick. Unfortunately, Sam actually buys lunch for me quite a lot, and I've got his bank details to just pay him off every now and then. So, yeah. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Scott Steven 19 says, Hi Ben, I just received the Crimson fretboard and guitar cleaner from your good self. Can I use it on the actual body of the guitar to clean as well, not just the fretboard? On most finishes, yes, absolutely. Genuinely, on almost everything it works absolutely fine. I wouldn't want to use it on an open pore, very lightly applied oil finish, for example. That might well be a problem. But on lacquer finishes and things, it is a fretboard and finish cleaner. It is going to clean things, basically. And yeah, I hope you get good use out of it, enjoy it. FFF says, given how soft you found the fretboard of the 40,000-year-old build, do you think it will hold and last a reasonable lifetime? It will, now that I have flooded it with a shed load of super glue. It's absolutely fine now. My issue wasn't necessarily how soft it was in that recent video. It was that the stainless steel frets had 0 give in them, and you pre-tension the frets a little bit, put them in, and then they flatten out. And these ones were just ripping the grain, because while it's relatively soft wood, it also has not got very much grain. It's got a very wide grain. So structurally, there was an issue there. Ray Baggett has sent a $10 super chat saying, go buy yourself some lunch, you seem famished. Thanks, Ray, I appreciate it. I am much looking forward to Tommy getting back, and when he does, I guarantee I will be forthwith ending the stream. So there we go. Marsha says, oh yes, since I'm making new pieces, I'm going to do inlays on the clapper that hangs down, or just on the bell frame. Frankly, if an inlay will fit on something, then, and you have the time and inclination, it should be inlaid. Sophia is nodding her head. Sophia, show me your guitar. This is the perfect illustration. And if you happen to have £10,000 floating around, this guitar is for sale, and Sophia has just taken a new flat in the area and could really do with a little bit of extra cash. That's not, that's a...
I don't mind you saying that.
Yeah, I'm passing everything I say now through an HR / are you being inappropriately
No.
mean or something. Good. Okay, hi.
Hello.
Check this guitar out.
If you like inlays.
if you like inlays. Tell you what, I'm going to I'm going to figure out which of these two microphones is mine. Mute. Hold on. There you go. That's you. And
Sell
yeah,
it.
sell the guitar. Well, you
Right.
deal with that. I'm not going to.
How do I sell? Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Prompt
Okay.
questions, Ben.
I'm gone. All right, so I'm now behind the camera. Sophia, I saw a photograph of this guitar and the other one that you did, and within about 2 minutes I offered you a job, and you're currently here working for me building the guitars.
Yeah.
And it was due to the sheer quality of what you've done on this. Now, well, tell me about it. Obviously this is a historically based classical guitar that's a nylon strung, to those of you who don't know they exist.
Yeah, it's so yeah, it's based off of a guitar, inspired by a guitar made by Antonio Torres, which is the most influential guitar maker in classical history, essentially.
So it's not Ben Crowe.
Classical guitar history.
You can call me.
I'm picking my words very
good.
well. Yeah, so it's inspired by that. He made it as for a showpiece, just to like show off basically his work and his quality.
Like
yeah, but so yeah, I decided to torture myself with making it in 7 months from the final project of my degree. So that's what we have, and yeah, it sounds really nice and it smells really good too.
It
So
does. You keep on saying that.
so it's a French polish shellac finish, of course, because it's traditional. Pretty much everything I used on this I wanted to do it traditionally. So it is also a lot of hide glue. All the patterns are made by hand. The only thing I didn't do was shape the pearl pieces because I didn't have time to make 27 pearl pieces. So I did inlay them, but they're not actually shaped by me, but everything else I did make from raw material, basically.
So all of this binding and inlay and all of those patterns were made in...
Is that focusing?
In chunky... I can make it focus. There we go. So you essentially made a long... a rod with that shape in it and then sliced off the pieces.
Yeah.
And then...
So many logs of these patterns, because also you can't make, if you need, for example, this motif here, which is going across the whole back and twice across the rib structure, you can't make simply just one massive log, because then the pattern isn't going to line up throughout the log. So I would take it in 140 millimeter long logs, so that I could make sure that the pattern was consistent and matching throughout the whole thing. And they all have different, methods of making them. Some of them are a lot more difficult than others, basically.
And you just enjoy, I don't know, hurting yourself, basically.
Yeah. Well, apparently so. But yeah, I mean, like that end block was an absolute pain. So this how to do that actually came to me in a dream. It was a problem because these are 3-piece ribs. I needed to make sure that this. It was just a right mathematical problem. I ended up actually inlaying this end graft into the end block, which is not what you usually do, and then literally perfectly having to butt everything up, and also making sure that this pattern, the end of the meanders from here, ended exactly where the miters were gonna end. So it was a whole thing, and I'm so glad that it's done.
Absolutely, and the fact of the matter is, it did. Sorry, I'm just making you guys ill by moving this camera at this point. There we go. It did get you a job.
Yeah.
It did teach you a hell of a lot about guitar building and life in general and all of that. It is for sale if anybody wants it. Drop us an email. I'm not getting a commission on that. Although I do want you to build me a guitar, just not a classical one. So, yeah. It's not your fault. It's just
It's the classical
it's
guitar.
just not my medium. Okay.
Fair enough.
Also,
Nice.
that footage might actually end up just being a video on the Extras channel, or potentially, yeah. Sam, let's put on the to-do list that we want to film a video about this guitar for the main channel, just talking about the basics of how you do things and
Cool.
what this is, and maybe somebody will buy it from you. At which point, yeah, I do want like a 75% cut.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Okay,
Cool.
I need my microphone. I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
There
I'm
you
going
go.
to. And there we go, we're back. Fantastic. Yeah. FFF says it gets better. Sophia, that's stunning work from Ginger Drum Tech. FFS says that headstock with emojis with heart eyes. Bravissimo from Ape Song. As you say, it gets better the more you look. What the hell, I'm now going to go burn all of my guitar building equipment. That's from Ray Baggett. Don't do it, Ray. Don't do it at all. There is the only difference between what you guys are doing and what Sophia did there is time and, well, that she seems to enjoy crying in corners. How much did you cry building that guitar?
I had hives all over my body for like.
You had a physical allergic reaction to building that guitar. It stressed you out so much.
Hives, mild drinking problem came up.
A mild drinking problem. You're house sitting for me this weekend. I am now officially going to hide the booze. I wouldn't, she says. I really am now. Damn it. Okay, big unit guitars, I absolutely agree. Big unit guitars, Sophia has sent a super chat saying, Sophia, you should talk to that lady with 11 magazine about shooting that masterpiece for her magazine. Genuinely, let's make sure that happens. So write that down. Very, very good idea. I hadn't thought of that. And again, if you haven't heard of 11 magazine, they've had a single issue go out. You need to go and check out the website and the Instagram and all of that. She takes incredible photos. The magazine is delicious. Figuratively speaking. I don't go around licking random magazines. Yeah, I think I'm hungry. Marsha J. Levine says, absolutely incredible work, Sophia. Reminds me of the carvings and decorative paintings found in religious artwork, though not so much in modern times. The Ginger Drum Tech. The Ginger Drum Tech says, I can see why Sophia is writing the acoustic course. Sophia was employed to develop the acoustic course. She's in here learning the way I do things and electric guitar building and stuff, because it is a very different world. You'd never done a radiused fretboard before in your life? Or
Slightly
yeah.
radius, but not proper, no.
Well, there we go. Sean is doing the sort of Travolta thing, going, what the hell is going on here? I'm live streaming.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. But that's all good. Basically, this whole thing has devolved into talking about how wonderful Sophia is, and I just need to put a stop to this. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be about me. No, they are. Everybody's saying it's beautiful. I'm not going to read all of them out because it's actually going to get boring, but there we go. Oh, here's a guitar question. Okay. There's some questions here. Fantastic. Okay, Rage Quit says, hey Ben, I have Sapele, Wenge and Walnut. Which would make a better neck? Hey. Laminate them all together if you're matte and like multi-string guitars and that sort of thing. And self-flagellation. I think from overall, I would say the Sapele. It's dimensionally stable, it's easy to work with, it's quick and easy to carve, and it's not that bad. Wenge is probably stronger, far brighter, But if you get a wenge splinter in your hand, then you are 100% in trouble. You need to get that out, and it hurts. It also gets infected if you leave it in. It's genuinely not good for you. Wenges also, if you're using hand tools and hand carving and things like that, it's just not fun. If you're going to be carving with an angle grinder and using machine tools to process it or route it, etc., different story. It's a lot more usable. Walnut is good, but there's so much variation across what you get, and UK walnut is just a little bit too soft in some cases. So yeah, I would say Sapedi is the best of all of these things. Dave Lewis is sending the link to the office. Send it to stream@crimsonguitars.com. I think Sam F now has that email address as well, so that's good. Catty Fournier, spelled C-A-T-Y. I think that's Catty, might be Katie, not sure. Says, how should I fit a neck I bought whose end has been rounded when the neck pocket is squared and not mess the length for the bridge scale length since the body is pre-drilled? Square the neck or round the pocket? Well, it entirely depends on where the neck actually needs to be. So your first thing to do is clamp the neck in place. I would use a radius block, a 12-inch radius block with some tissue protecting the frets, etc. Clamp that in place exactly where it needs to be, and then work from there. Just bear in mind that 90% of guitars made today do not actually butt up with the end of the neck pocket, the part of the neck pocket closest to the bridge. So if you do end up having you've got a square neck pocket and a rounded neck, and the neck just has to sit in the pocket and there's little gaps there, it's not going to majorly affect things in my opinion. Yeah, I think you'll be absolutely fine. Now, there is, well, the comment says my name isn't coming up for some reason. Neil here. Hey Neil, can you simply swap a stop tailpiece for a trapeze with no issues, bar the holes? Essentially, you will change the feel of the guitar slightly depending on where the trapeze ends and where the tailpiece was. You're changing the overall length of the guitar string, thus physically changing the characteristics of the guitar and things like that. So there will be a slight change, but if they're relatively close together, it won't be a big, well, it won't be a big thing. So yeah, I think that you could. There we go, that's some batteries that have been charged, and we're all good. Don't be jelly, Ben, that's from Ivan Wizard, Carl. I am a great proponent of hiring people who are better than you and letting them get on with it, or abusing people until they are better than you, if they survive the process. How are you, Sam? He's not listening to me. Fantastic. What? No, I said I sort of half complimented by saying I hire people who are better than me and let them get on with it, or abuse them until they are, if they survive the process. But I have faith in both of you standing there, actually. So yeah, we'll see how the next few weeks go. Sam has just taken over the administration of the custom shop and the repairs and all of this. Is essentially acting as my PA and helping to reorganize and fix everything that's wrong about what we're doing here. And if the stress of that doesn't kill him, yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Dimitri says, hi Ben, I just glued my neck with the body and there is a small gap about 1 millimeter on the top side. How shall I fill it? Dust and glue a small piece of the same top wood. Thank you. If you can, well, the first thing to do is check the neck alignment, check the bridge positioning, etc. Make sure that that is where it is supposed to be. In reality, if this has just happened, I would actually be tempted to warm the whole guitar up gently and slowly over an hour or two, and delaminate the neck and reposition and reglue. That's what I would do. Any filling you do would be obvious, and yeah, it's not. I wouldn't do that. I genuinely wouldn't do that. So that being said, if I had the choice, I would use, if I had to cover the hole up and I had to inlay it, I would find a contrasting wood or a contrasting material like mother of pearl or abalone or something like that, and make a frame around the guitar. I have even considered totally binding an entire guitar that wasn't supposed to be bound and putting the binding down the edges of the neck pocket as an inlay in order to hide that while making it look like I did it on purpose. So there we go. I would do that. Dave Lewis says, Ben, are you growing your beard on purpose? I'm experimenting for fun. I'm going with the whole sort of homeless wizard look, I think. I should probably, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I need to grow it out and then see what can be done with somebody who actually knows how to cut a beard, and then learn from that and end up with a look. We'll see. Or we just go full ZZ Top, as Ape Song says, ZZ Ben. I like it. Malcolm Gray says, how do you work out the correct neck pocket depth and heel height? Do you have to draw it out first to make sure all your angles and strings height are correct? That is by far the best way to do it, yes. As a general rule, a 3-degree back angle is about right for a Gibson Les Paul. And, well, yes, basically. Draw it out if you need, if you're at all uncertain. And the same thing works for the neck break angles, basically. Draw the whole thing out physically, life size, and you will not go wrong. Patrick Nesbo, we're not doing any kits at all at the moment. I am in talks with a very, very, very cool company about potentially getting kits made to my specs, though. So there is a possibility of an Explorer kit at some point, built to our quality, but not with our overheads, shall we say. Cathy Fournier says, thank you, Ben. Less complicated than I imagined. Name was well said. I'm French-Canadian from Quebec. I now can't remember which one I chose, but there we go. And I'm glad to help, absolutely. Question from Paul Need says, hi Ben, when chambering a blank I accidentally bored through. Is dowel and solid colour over it a valid and stable off solution? Stable, absolutely. Valid, yes. The only issue is the look. Again, you could actually put an inlay over it. You could inlay a badge over it and say, hey, you wanted a badge to say this is my 15th build or whatever it happens to be. Or you could put a cavity on there if it's on the back. Hide things in plain sight is the general rule. Okay, so there we go. Now, Paul Cook says, keep growing the beard, Ben, until you can use it as a workbench brush. Ha! There we go. All right, Joe Thornhill, this is going to be the last question because I need to go and have some lunch and stuff. Joe Thornhill says, hi Ben, I've been meaning to ask, have you ever heated the leaf on a guitar, particularly aluminium or silver leaf? I saw it on the Craftsman Series 1, Episode 1 at about 2616 and it looks great. Yes, I have done exactly that with copper leaf. Essentially, you very lightly burn it, and there's like maybe half a second between getting the color you want and basically melting it and ruining the money you spent on the copper leaf. But yes, I've done that. You can, however, buy preheated copper leaf and silver leaf that it's got this sort of rainbow kind of effect. The issue is sometimes that rainbow effect can actually be lost under finish. So do tests before you apply the finish and go from there. Okay, everybody, I really appreciate your support. I'm gonna, well, it seems that there are people around who want to watch this live stream at whatever time I do it, so we're gonna look at the schedules and think about that and maybe do a few more. In the meantime, go make some sawdust, have a fantastic weekend. I know what day it is, honest, and we'll be back soon. Rock and roll. Goodbye.